Whether you just smashed the stock bumper on your truck or you like the sleek look on the rear of your pickup, this right here is the solution to all your problems. If you haven't read the title of the video yet, this is a roll pan bumper. Now, if you haven't been able to tell already, we're in the body working stage of this truck. As you can see, most of the front end and cab is done, but currently we are working on the bed, so I figure what better time to put this on than now. You can also do this on the truck, and if it's still painted, you're just gonna have to be a little bit more careful than I do. Now for easy installation, these come with holes and tabs on top, and if you're a hack, you'll just throw some screws in it and call it a day, which is more than okay if that's what you're going for. But if you're like me and you wanna do it the right way, but you don't wanna spend years on it, this is how I'm gonna do it. Now, as easy and as fast as it would be to just stick screws in there, this thing is going to flap in the wind if you do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a couple more holes in here. We're gonna use those holes to plug weld this thing onto here. And then we're probably gonna end up putting some plug welds along the side here. But first things first, we gotta get this thing all mocked up. First thing you're gonna wanna do is remove your tailgate, get that thing out of the way, give yourself some room to work. All right, first thing we're gonna do is the original mock-up. So we're just gonna set it on something that's kind of about the right height. Figure out where this thing's gonna sit. So as you can see, we got a couple issues already. One is that these are bent to the point where I can get my finger behind them. So we gotta bend all these back over to a 90 so that it actually sits flush here. And then the other thing is this is a bit tweaked. As you can see, when I move the top in, the bottom comes out. So if the bottom lines up, the top's out. So we're just gonna have to do some tweaking there, and that'll all be fixed when we get this thing, start to get this thing clamped down. But yeah, let's fix this first. And there we go, a couple of ice grips and we're done. Now you have a roll pan. I'm just kidding, but it is starting to look pretty good. Now this side sits pretty nice. I got to bump that down a little bit, but otherwise this side's looking pretty good. This side, on the other hand, has quite a bit of lip, so we got to work on that. And then I'm not sure how well you guys can tell, but this is bent way up on an angle if we look at it from the side. So that's got to be knocked down a little bit. Well, we did some reconfiguring, and I've got it to a place that I'd call pretty darn close. The gaps and the overhang are all fairly similar on both sides. Now, on both sides, we still have the same issue, and that's that right here, this has the wrong bend radius. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark here, mark here. We're going to cut that open and then re-bend it so that it fits a little bit nicer down there. Well, as you can see, that's starting to look significantly better. Could use a little bit more, but I'd say this side's pretty much done. But as soon as I finish getting that all straightened out, we'll be good to start tacking this thing in. Alrighty, as you can see, we got her straightened out, welded up all the cuts that I made, and made that look nice and pretty. And as you can see, we got a couple extra holes here. Now, there's a couple ways to mount this thing. One being weld in the top, and then these sides here where there's going to be a seam with the bed, weld that solid, and then sand it down smooth, and then body work it and make it look like it's all one piece. Now, there's a couple issues with that. One, it's very time consuming, and two, if you ever get hit in the rear end, there's no way to easily take this thing back off and put a new one on. So I've come up with a plan on how to make this thing fit real nice and then also come off easy if I ever need to get a replacement. Now it's all covered up right now, but this is a 64 Dodge Power Wagon. On the bed here, this taillight bezel housing, whatever you want to call it, is actually a separate piece from the bed. As you can see, we have a seam here. What this is filled with seam sealer and then painted over, and it looks really, really nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the exact same thing on our seam that's gonna be on the end of this roll pan. And what that's gonna do is make this really easy to take out if we ever need to. It's gonna be as simple as drilling out my spot welds and then just cutting out the seam sealer along here. And if you don't trust spot welds, I hate to break it to you, but your entire truck is held on by them. But with all that taken care of, this thing is ready to be re-mocked up, and then we will plug weld all of the holes in it. I opted to put holes in the side here just so it's not flapping in the wind. The bottom isn't catching any air and flapping, so it'll have some hold downs on the side as well, all the way down to the bottom. And this thing should be pretty sturdy. So let's get her fit back up. Alrighty, so I got this one side done. Welder ran out of gas, so I got to get some more. But as you can see, we got a nice little gap there. Like I said, we'll prime this and fill this in with seam sealer, make it look all nice and pretty, and then paint over it. But as you can see, it follows the body line really nicely. What I ended up doing was starting at the top and then pulling or pushing, depending on what it needed to line up. And then I'd weld one, push this one to even, weld this one, push it to even, weld it, and so on and so forth. And that looks pretty nice. Now for this side, we need to do the same thing. As you can see, it doesn't quite line up down there. So we're gonna do that. And then we'll start on this side. As we know, it goes up like that. So we'll weld this side, push down, weld that one, push down, and so on and so forth until this thing sits flat. And then this will be all welded in and we'll be ready to strip the paint on the bed and get this thing all in primer. As you saw, we got this side all done up and it looks pretty nice, follows the body line pretty well. So we got the tailgate off. We're gonna start working on this here. What I did was I marked 1.25 inches down from here. That's where the top of this needs to be. And as you can see, all the way over here, it needs about a quarter inch down. So we got to work on that. It's close, but not quite. So we're going to do that, push down and weld as we go. Alrighty, boys. Well, that's it. Now, next step is going to be stripping this whole bed of paint, getting it primed, and then starting the bodywork aspect of it. But yeah, this thing, it took a little bit of work. It took some lining up just because it's not a stock piece of metal, so it's never going to line up perfectly how you want it the first time. But we got her all worked out, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's going to add a lot to the truck, and I think it's going to be totally worth it. Now, if you want to continue following this build, I am doing daily updates, so go check that out. But I think I will be doing long, in-depth videos on this thing as well. And if you're not into Dodges or diesels, I do have a big block for my square body, so that'll be going in very shortly as well. But that'll be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and God bless.